Hi. Um, so I decided to do these kind of question slash story animated thingies because I want to put content up on YouTube, I guess, and just other social media generally. So yeah. So let's get started with one of my first questions. The hardest part about animating. Well, honestly, everything, personally, but it's just doing drawing out the very different body parts, the arms, the legs, the torso, and especially extra torso movements. Really, the easiest part of animating a body is like the head and the face. That's, you don't count the hair, especially very different hairs, because some hair can be frizzy, and bouncy, while others are just like really smooth and appendageable, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm assuming that's what the question means, but as well as actually putting together a video, right? Like a flash, like a goose or little flash mesh. By the way, I've been trying to make part 3 for since the second one came out, and let's just say there's been 8 different versions, and a lot of those versions were scrapped and redone, and yeah, it's kind of a rough history for Flash Mash. But yeah, putting it together. I have to write a thingy, the script, and then excuse me, been eating ice cream. Yeah, putting together the script, and then doing. I mean, the voice acting is pretty easy enough. I mean, I can get some people, especially myself, and it's fine. Although, seeing that I probably, because I don't mind if I'm popular on YouTube or not, or anywhere really. If I'm not, then whatever. But I guess I do have to watch out for copyright stuff, because there's a lot of it on my channel, especially my expressions videos. And it's like, how am I gonna deal with all this, in the future, if I ever do somehow get attention? But yeah, I feel like I didn't answer the question. So what got me into animating? So this is gonna be an art history, honestly. It's not even gonna be when specifically I started animating. That's gonna come later, but where it all began. Of course, you'll hear this everywhere, especially with every artist, but they've been drawing for as long as they remember, and that's true. So have I. But I guess what really kickstarted my interest, let's go back to 2nd grade. I think I was reading this back in 1st grade and didn't really go through with it until 2nd grade. But there is this little children's book series. I think a lot of you know what it is, but a book series called Captain Underpants, right? I know it's weird, but if you're not aware, one of the 2 of the main characters, right? They're in school. They draw comic books for all the people at school to read, and I was like, what if I did that? So I did. I drew comics of myself, right, and my sibling at the time. I mean, still my sibling, but I don't like talking about family anymore. But yeah, it was basically superheroes, right? Us as superheroes. And I as well introduced my friends into this, or my quote-unquote friends, into the story, right? And the superhero names, they were not original. They were just Super Me, Super Friend A, Super Friend B, blah blah blah. I made a bunch of villains, right? I'm pretty sure one of them was a water monster, which is basically just a water elemental. Blue from Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends, but giant and watery and a monster. And yeah, and then yeah, it was just, I just drew a bunch of comics of that, and then, but I as well made a, like, or at least I attempted, like, making other series, like comic book series. By the way, this is all still in elementary school. Like a Pokemon series, Pokemon comic book series, with me and my friends. That only lasted like an issue or two. I think like a Transformers one as well. I don't remember. Although the one that I most prominently remember, unfortunately, was this comic book I made called Friend Guy, and as you can imagine, it was I thought Family Guy was funny back then. So I took a lot of jokes from that show as well. But but besides from that, for the most part, it was just me and like me imagining me and my friends, living together in like this house, right, doing whatever. I mean, sometimes it's not even just like jokes or plots taken from the show, Sometimes I actually made it up myself, right? Like, we're in a band. Sometimes I just make references to like the video games I play, right? Like, oh, now we're in the Halo universe or anime. Oh, yeah, we're Bleach people now, right? We're like in Dragon Ball characters, but not really. We're our own people fighting this. Yeah. And I remember, like, there's this kid back in elementary school where like, for the most part, everyone disliked. We'll just call him Jack. This is the top of my head. So this kid Jack. That sounds real. I'm just again keeping his identity secret. Jack. Everyone just disliked him. He was kind of a jerk, a douche, whatever. So me and my friends like made a joke about us. Calling like a reoccurring villain that's called the Jacks, right? And they're basically just zombies and all that. And yeah, actually, I still have like in my right drawer, like in my desk, I still have like all of the issues I made. There was like five or seven seasons actually. Yeah, I split them up into seasons, even though I had no idea how seasons worked. But usually I made like 10 issues per season. And I'll just introduce all these characters, right? Me and my friends, like these imaginary animal people. It was like, and then like we'd have a car for some reason, and then like we'd have like this super house in like San Diego that was like based or inspired by the Plastic Beach studio album, right? Or the album cover. Just that, quote unquote utopia house, right? But that's just right like in the coastline of San Diego for whatever reason. And yeah, I just drew up those comics in elementary school, like all the way from second grade to early middle school, right? And of course, middle school, it changes people. So I went into middle school, and of course a lot of my friends left. A lot of my friends went to other schools. Well, some people went to the same school as I did, right? Although, like, of course, you can imagine, middle school is, like, way bigger than elementary school. So, not a lot of people read my stuff, so I think 2 months into 6th grade, I kind of just gave up, because no one was just, like, reading them. But I think it's also because, like, none of my friends were there to see it at all, because, I was primarily making this for my friends, right? Or, again, quote-unquote friends. And yeah, I just stopped for whatever reason. Although in the same year, actually way back in December... Oh, wait, no, hold on, I'm sorry, I'll be right with you. Right, so I almost got way into the future, like, way too much into the future. Right before I should say, so way back in September of 2010, right? I was just going on the internet, right? Just looking through whatever I was into at the time, and in like the YouTube front page, I saw this like video, and it was I think some of you may know, but a famous animator, Ed's World, right? At that time, the video WTF Future came out. I was like, oh, what is this? So I clicked it, and I saw and I watched this animated video, and it just intrigued me so much. I was like, wow, this was some cool ass stuff. I mean, back then I was not into swearing, right? But I just thought this is really cool. So I started to look at more of Ed's World's videos and inspiration. So into July of 2010, 6th grade, I put together this, it's still on my channel, by the way, you can look, it's the very first video, but all the way back, it's a craftily animated video called Tony's World. Again, I keep taking these ideas, right? I mean, I never really claimed them as my own, but I just keep taking these ideas and putting my own taste into it, right? And I was trying to kickstart this series as well, but again, I knew nothing of how to make a series, but what also made it worse was my laziness. I was lazy. I still kind of am, but just I didn't want to do all of that stuff. Right, July. Then oh wait, July was before. Okay, it was the summer before 6th grade, but you get my point. Into more into the future. So, back in December, I believe. No, it was before December, maybe November or October, but I was just going through YouTube and all that. I guess I was into Smash Brothers, and I stumbled upon a couple of Flash videos, Brawl Taunts, I think you're aware of that. And then Nintendo, with the really weird spelling, Nintendo. But that doesn't really inspire me. Although, this particular animator, it's kind of a weird inspiration, I know, but, their username, Dragon Rider 13025, right? And they're Super Smash Bros. Brawl flashes, and I don't know what intrigued me so much about them. I guess it was the low quality, that seeing that how I could probably make this as well, probably intrigued me. And I was like, this is some cool stuff. And then I look more into I think, yeah, he goes by he now, Bane, but I looked into his channel, and I saw, a ton of videos, Flash videos about Sonic, about freaking, what else is there, there's Bully, South Park, Kingdom Hearts and all that, just the stuff I was into. Although, back then, this was way before, I know of, your cool, your hippie owlies and your Yuris and all that. And I just thought, it was just their own interpretation, especially between Mark and Ith. I knew nothing of what that was back then, so I kind of but I didn't really care. I just went with it, and I just kept looking at their stuff, throughout the months, and stumbled upon their DeviantArt page, right, and their Chezzy art page. I was like, oh, not only do they make videos, but they also just have these drawings, right? And it was pretty cool. It was yeah, this is pretty cool stuff. And it wasn't until March that I decided to make a DeviantArt page, but actually I put up my first I guess the beginning of my Flash animations, or quote-unquote animations, on YouTube back in February, right? A month before I really joined DeviantArt. But Flash Smash 1. Yeah, I kind of took that title from one of Bane's videos, but yeah, Flash Smash 1, the pretty crappily animated video with where I still consider my quote-unquote friends my friends, right? So the people in that video, they're dead to me now, but yeah, I was animating for them, I was like, cool, this is Flash is pretty cool, yeah. I mean, before I have used Flash before, but I didn't know how it worked, and I was confused. I was like, wait, why can't I convert these into like pictures so I can put it into like Windows Movie Maker later? But I guess again, I didn't know how to use it. Another person who inspired me on DeviantArt, and I as well discovered them on YouTube, way beforehand, and they're also another reason why I joined DeviantArt. But they didn't post their video like on YouTube intentionally. I mean, I guess somebody else took it and uploaded it, but to give them credit, they did link the original thing and the original page. But this quite interesting folk named Unknown Person, who was very well known. He's still very well known, and he's also in the shadows now. He only he only shows himself like at least once a year, to drop by and say, "Hi, hey guys, here's the thing, bye." But yeah, he was very well known for his original character tournaments, stories, or OCTs for short. And basically, you make an original character, right? You audition for a part in the tournament, and then if you get accepted, you're going to the first round and quote-unquote fight another person, which basically you either draw a comic, you animate it, or you write it. You write the story, and just judges will determine whether you go in the next round to continue your story or not. And a lot of the times there is rewards at the end, but anyways, that's not the point. Yeah, but they made animated videos as well for their entries, End Zone and Laws of Talos, or Law of Talos, something like that. And yeah, those videos intrigued me because the animation is very well done, and by an independent person, by just by this one dude. It's just like, wow, this is like so amazing. So that was another reason why I joined DeviantArt. So and yeah, that's how I got into animating art. That's why I even bothered advancing my art. Actually, no, that's not true. During my time in DeviantArt, right, I joined these roleplay groups, right? Alpha, which is basically Left 4 Dead, but with middle school kids. And I met one of my still cherished friends to this day, Sally, and I met her. At first it was just business. It was just business. Hey, I'm gonna use your character in my comic. We good? And then she'd be like, yeah, we're good. And then we just use each other's characters for comics and all that, drawings, and then over time we bonded, and we just became friends, and then I made even more friends on DeviantArt, and just they were the reason why I bothered or why I even bothered to advance in art, because they kept me going. I wanted to make them smile, I wanted to make them laugh with my creations, right? And yeah, but then again, my whole DeviantArt life, that's a whole other story. The question is, what got me to animating? And there you have it, just all those previous things I just mentioned. And I'm fairly certain I exceeded 11 minutes, so I think this is going on as long as it already should be. So yeah, that's my how I got into animating, my art history, why I even decided to do so. Why I'm deciding to take animation as my future career. So yeah, I hope I get more questions in the future. So yeah, this is a nice video. So I'll see you folks. Take care.